Hi there, welcome to today's painting tutorial. Today we are going to paint an orange with acrylic paint, so let's get started. Grab the sketch in the description below as well as the colors and the brushes that I will be using. Let's start with the background. I'm going to start with a size 9 flat brush. And we're going to use an 8x8 canvas here, so pick up some black paint. We're going to start by putting the black paint in this left corner. Just want to cover that and then try to go around the sketch as best as you can using the edge of that flat brush. If you go over the stem of the leaves, that's okay. Just leaving some of these large shapes. Then we'll bring some of that down this way. There's a line here at the bottom, and that's where you want the black to end. So then as we get to this left side, I'm going to pick up some of this grayish blue paint and start putting that in. You want it to mix a bit with the black. Sort of move your brush in a back and forth motion so that you're transitioning from that darker black color into this lighter bluish gray. And that's just going to give the illusion that the light is shining more on this right side. Okay, you can go towards the edge, continuing to pick up that blue. And I'm going around the leaf area. And this brush is nice because it's pretty big, so it covers a nice big area. Okay, so some of that black is mixing in there. And then you can bring some of that blue onto this other side. Try to get a smooth transition. If you want to get even lighter, you could add some white in there. Progressively get lighter. Now let's work on this section here. So you want to take some of the dark brown color, and that's for this table area that the orange is sitting on. I'm trying to go around the leaf. We're going down this way. So we start off with the burnt umber. Then you can grab some of the black paint and put that down here underneath the orange for a shadow. And that's in the sketch, so you can sort of see where that shadow area is. Okay, and then you can get lighter, so we can pick up some of this burnt sienna color. Then bring that down in the foreground. That's where our lighter area is going to be. And then you can take some of the beige paint and then bring some down here on this right side and underneath that cast shadow, just as a bit of a highlight. Okay, so I want these colors to transition a bit better, so I'm just going to sort of overlap some of them so that we get a smoother transition into the background. And I'll do that same thing on the left side, covering up some of the black with this burnt umber. Okay, and then go ahead and add another layer of this and then continue to blend so that you have the background nice and blended and cover up any of the whites of the canvas. And then I will meet you back. Okay, so I put a couple more layers for the background, letting some of those layers dry in between. And now we're ready to paint the main subject. So I'm going to start with a size 6 flat brush and let's paint in the orange. So I'm going to start with this bright orange color and start putting that in. It's going to be a nice base color. Putting that around the outside, sort of in the middle. And then pick up some yellow. As we get towards the center, we get a bit brighter and more yellow. So we'll put that in. And then around the edges, we want to get a bit darker. So I'm going to pick up some of this burnt sienna. And start bringing the burnt sienna around the outside edges. I want to start building this shadow color. I'll bring it on the right side. And this dark background is really going to help give a lot of depth and make these colors really pop and stand out. Okay, let's bring some up here. And then up this way. Some of these darker tones. Okay, I'm going to pick up a bit of the burnt umber and just put a small amount of that in. Just to intensify and darken that shadow. Okay, so let's let that layer dry. As that's drying, let's look at the leaves and the branch. So for that, let's take, I'm going to mix some of this green up with some yellow. So we have a bit of a yellow-green color. Be a little more yellow. Let's put that down the center of the stem. And then I'm going to take the dark color and bring that around the edge on both sides. I want to get even darker, so let's pick up, I can use a little bit of black and just use the tip of that brush, bring that in for a bit of a shadow. I'm also going to take some burnt umber, put some of that in there as well. Okay, so now let's look at the leaves. So we can do that same sort of thing. And I'm going to connect this leaf right here. And then start in the center. And just pull some of this color from the center out towards the edge. Might have to go over some of that white space. Okay, I'm going to do that same thing on this other side right here. So you have this greenish yellow color. And we're just bringing it down. And then I'm going to do this one up here. And just try to fill that in. Just let the brush do the work. Then with that lighter shade, let's connect this. Just use the edge of the brush. Okay, so then I'm going to get darker. And then put this section of the leaf up here. Make it a bit darker. Okay, I'm using these brush strokes to create the shape of the little ribs in the leaves as well. Just nice brush strokes. Okay, so that's a nice base tone, a nice mid-tone. And then let's get darker. I need to add some more black onto the palette. So what I can do is mix some of this green with the black, and I can mix some burnt umber in there as well. I just want to get a nice dark shadow color for the leaves. And once I have that, come in with that color, start adding some shadows. Just some little marks where the leaf is going to be darker. We'll bring it up here. Then some little lines. You can get thinner lines when you use the edge of that brush. Maybe we want this one to be a bit darker. Okay, I'm just going to fill in some of the whites of the paper here, or of the canvas. And now let's put in a few more leaves. So for that I want the lighter color. Maybe even add a small amount of white in there. I'm just going to put a few more little loose leaves. Trying to let the brush do the work. So we're just going to be more impressionistic and not have a lot of detail. They're sort of fading into the background. Okay, so now it's time to go back to the orange and start refining things. So take some of the orange and then mix some white in there. That'll give us a lighter value. And then start putting that in. If you get a bit of brown in there, you can sort of clean that off. Just come back with the orange. Then I'm also coming back with the yellow. This layer is just to smooth things out. Clean things up. I'm going to add some white. It's going to lighten things. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to this burnt sienna. And start bringing in some of that dark shadow again. Bring it over here. Just create a second layer and smooth that out. I'm going to try to get really dark here at the bottom, so some black and some of the burnt umber. Just create that edge, nice sharp edge down at the bottom. Okay, let's go in with another layer for the stem, adding some white here. Just putting a little texture on top of the stem. And then with this light color, let's go the center of the leaf. And then bring some lines out. Do that same thing on the right side. Just a few little highlights. And then for this one up here, you can do that same thing. Just going to highlight on the edges. And then reinstate these leaves, have them connect to the center stem. And then I can come back with another layer of the shadow. I'm going to put just a few little marks in the stem for shadow. I'm trying to get some texture there. Now we're just going to go back and forth and balance our darks and our lights. Let's take a 0 round brush with some burnt umber. I'm going to put some of that around the stem to create a bit of a shadow there as well. Now I'm going to use a 0 dome brush and let's put in some texture. I just want to put a few little dots. Letting this brush do the work. Just putting a few little dots for texture, just stippling the brush. And then I'm going to take some white paint and do that in this section of the orange. I just want a few little dots to create that texture. You can also add some yellow dots and some of that orange mixed with the white as well. Just small little dots to create the texture. Okay, you may have to step back so you can get a bit of a better view. And I want these blended in, so I'm going to continue to pounce that brush. I want them to look like texture, but I don't want them to look too much like dots. And just by continuing to stipple it in, you can remove that. And we want the highlight to be right here in the center. That's going to be the brightest area, so you want to add the most white there and the most highlights. Now I'm going to take a liner brush, 2/0 liner. Let's add some yellow into this green. And quite a bit of white paint as well. So this is going to be a nice highlight that we're going to use on the leaves. So we want it pretty bright. I'm going to bring it down the center of this leaf. Then bring a few more lines. Roll the brush. Then I'm going to bring a highlight into this branch. So down the center. Pull that highlight. Then we can add highlight right here too. Then I'm going to do that same thing right here, so a little line. And you do want these lines to skip a bit. You don't want them to be complete because when you have a bit of skipping, it just looks more natural. Let's bring this edge here. And then this one, we can just go around the edge. I'm going to bring this edge out. And then this one down here. Just little lines that will bring these leaves out and make them look more realistic. Okay, so now I'm going to take a clean brush because I want it to be light. I don't want to get too dark here. I'm going to take some of the bright orange and I'm just going to do another pass around this section just to smooth things out a bit. Give a nice smooth finished look. Okay, and I think we will call this complete. That is how you can paint in orange with acrylic paints. I hope you give this a try. Like and subscribe for more painting tutorials. If you want to dive deeper into painting with me, grab my free guide in the description below, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye!